viewers and learners of the course MEV 002 Environmental and Occupational Hazards. We have now reached the hazards from the healthcare waste and the biomedical waste section. I introduce myself as Dr. Sushmita Bhaskar, working in the discipline of Environmental Studies at the School of Interdisciplinary and Transdisciplinary Studies, Indira Gandhi National Open University, New Delhi. Let us now see the learning objectives of this module. So, after listening to and reading this module, you will be able to understand the different healthcare waste. We will learn to classify them, the types of waste, and how hazardous and infectious they can be, and what are the hazards and the health effects that both the environment as well as the human beings, animals, the flora and the fauna all are at risk due to the hazards from these infectious or non-hazardous waste. Now, if you see the hospitals, the dental clinics, then there are diagnostic centers, there are laboratories, all these are around us, even in the residential colonies and the community areas. So, there also you will see that there will be one dental clinic, then there are a lot of doctors, and there are certain diagnostic and laboratory centers also. There may be physiotherapy areas. So, all these are releasing hospital or the biomedical waste. They release all this waste in quite a large numbers. So, one thing that comes to your mind is, are these waste being treated properly? Are they being disposed of in the scientific manner? Do they have the proper dustbins and the color coded bins where they have to be properly disposed of? These things come to our mind, because otherwise if they are not disposed of properly and if they are just let as such into the environment, then both the environment and also our health we will be at stake. So, that is, we will get affected from these hazardous diseases or the infectious agents. So, among the total amount of waste that is generated by the healthcare sector, 85% is general non-hazardous waste comparable to the domestic waste, and the rest 15% we can say that will be the hazardous waste, which requires pre-treatment before it is disposed of in the environment. The remaining is considered hazardous, and that may be infectious. It can have certain chemical amounts, it can also have radioactive. Why do we mean radioactive? Because for example cancer or chemotherapeutic agents, these may all contain certain radioactive substances. So, that is why they can be infectious, they can be classified as chemical and also as the radioactive containing waste. Now, annually 16 billion injections are administered globally. This number may vary, it may be higher or it may be even slightly lower. So, all the needles and syringes are not properly disposed. Until a few years ago, we were using the syringes that were sterilized in the water or in the sterilization water baths, and the syringes were being reused. But now we are having the one time disposable syringes. So, even many of the diabetic patients, they are using their own syringes and then they dispose them off. Even for the testing of their blood sugar early in the morning, the fasting or the postprandial. So, they are using all these needle tips. So, when you prick it, then definitely there will be some blood and infectious material on those syringes and the needles. So, how do we dispose them off? Open burning and incineration of all this healthcare waste, even the cotton. When we get hurt, we are using certain gauze, we are using bandages, we are using cotton, and that will all absorb the pus, then that can absorb blood material, the body fluid, etc. So, all this, it is just disposed as such. If you are putting into the dustbin, then the normal procedure that is followed is incineration or burning at high temperatures. And when you incinerate the healthcare waste, then there can be the emission of dioxins, there can be emissions of furans and particulate matter. So, they may not be completely destroyed. And you can also have certain toxicants which are the byproducts released into the environment. So, therefore, we need to take measures to ensure the safe and environmentally sound management of the healthcare waste, and that can prevent the adverse health and environmental effects from these waste. These waste can be unintentionally released, then there can be drug resistant microorganism and infectious microbes which can affect the health of all. So, now let us see the types of waste from the biomedical sectors. The first one is infectious waste. So, why do we refer to as infectious? Because that waste which is capable of causing infection in human beings or in other animal beings. So, the waste that can be contaminated with the blood or the body fluid, normally these are discarded from the diagnostic sample. As I told you, when you are collecting blood, for whole blood analysis or for seeing the various the lipid profile, the amount of cholesterol in your blood, or certain other infectious problems that you're having in the blood, even the blood sugar levels and all this. Okay, so normally the doctor prescribes that please bring a blood test report. So the blood is taken in the syringes or in bottles, then these cultures and these bottles, they can all be disposed of scientifically. So the waste can be contaminated with such infectious waste. Then there can also be the laboratory work, that is people are conducting so much of experiments on the laboratory animals. There can be infectious agents, there can be for example Bacillus anthracis causing anthrax. So many microbial agents can be around. Then there can be waste from the autopsies, infected animals also from the laboratories. Even that can also give the waste, because even any chemical or any test dose, first it can also be applied to a human being to see that it does not cause any reaction to the person, and it is also sometimes given to certain lab animals to see whether there is any adverse reaction in the animal, so that it is tested in that before giving to us. So those dead animals or the infected animals, even that waste also, if it is not disposed of scientifically, that also can create contamination in the environment. The same way waste from the patients, okay, that can be urine waste, there can be waste with the blood, with the gauze or certain other infectious material, like sometimes the people who are bedridden, they may have the bed sores, so that can be contaminated with pus, with blood and all the infectious material. So these are all the patients with infections like bandages, swabs, like for example cellulitis. So in cellulitis the people will have lot of the pus and all the oozing material, body fluids and material which is coming out. So all this require the proper treatment. This waste should be properly treated before it is entering the environmental area. Then we are having pathological waste. Pathology, so pathological means the waste from human tissues, organs or fluids, body parts and also contaminated animal body parts or the carcasses. Then sharp waste. Sharp itself means anything which is pointed or sharp, that is syringes, needles, the disposable scalpels and blades, all this comes under the sharp waste. Then chemical waste. So here we have the solvents and reagents that are used for the laboratory preparation. For example, previously the blood sugar used to be monitored using the Nestler's reagent or certain other Benedict's reagent, certain other chemical reagents. So you even need to stock such chemical materials in order to check in the manual way. The same way certain biochemical procedures also, they require a lot of chemicals which are required, organic compounds also and chemicals, so that they can be done in the manual way. Then the disinfectants are there in order to disinfect the surfaces or people. Then there can be heavy metals which are contained in the medical devices, for example mercury. So mercury is a heavy metal, and even small amounts of mercury, if it is taken, then that can cause the neurological disorders, that is disorders of the brain, of the nervous tissues and so on. The same way we can also have the heavy metals like nickel, cadmium, then the nickel, zinc, all this which is obtained in the batteries. Batteries also are used for various, for example in the lights, the LED light, even in the operation theatres, so they need bright light. Then there may also be certain imaging services like in the there can be scanning electron microscopy. Of course it works on the electrical and the electron beam scattering devices, and of course the high power is required, but even then the batteries may be required for certain other procedures, even for the hand operated certain machines and so on. So that all comes under the chemical waste. Then we have the pharmaceutical waste. Pharmaceutical mainly expired medicines. Even at home also, if you have seen, we have old people at home, normally they sometimes have this medical insurance facilities. They have the Mediclaim facilities, or they have the CGHS, there is a central government health service scheme. So what happens is, every time if they are suffering from blood pressure or any kind of kidney disorder, or they are having blood sugar, some cardiac problem, so they may be stockpiling the medicines at home. And because every month or every 15 days sometimes the medicines may not be released, or it may not be available due to high demand, a lot of population, urbanization and so on. So the people tend to stockpile the medicines, if not from these places, even from the by paying money and also getting it from the pharmacies. So what happens sometimes, if the medicines are not consumed before the proper expiry date, then they will just lie there. So even that also, when it is released as such into the environment, then that can give rise to the drug resistant, multi-drug resistant forms of bacteria which we are facing today, the E. coli, the so much of gastrointestinal upset we are seeing. All this is because the bacteria are getting multi-drug resistant. So the pharmaceutical waste, in this you are getting the expired, unused, contaminated drug, medicine, vaccine and so on. Then we have cytotoxic and genotoxic substances and waste. These are waste that are containing the highly hazardous substance which can cause mutagens, mutagenic reactions, which can cause teratogenic and carcinogenic reactions. So these are the cytotoxic drugs. They are also used in cancer treatment and also their metabolites are used in the treatment. Then we have the radioactive waste. These are the products which are contaminated by radionuclides, and this includes the radioactive diagnostic material like radiotherapeutic material, maybe in the scanning machinery, then X-rays are also used, and certain other the radiological diagnostic material. They even use this computerized tomography, okay, CT scans. So they may require certain radioactively labeled substances which are tagging them, or certain dyes which are radioactive in nature, and then they are able to trace the point where there is some block or anything in your system, for example in the abdomen, if they want to do some kind of a scanning procedure using such radioactively labeled substances. Then non-hazardous and general waste. So that was everything about the hazardous. Non-hazardous means these are not giving you any particular hazard, and it does not pose any particular biological, chemical, radioactive or physical hazard of any kind. So for example, here the biohazard waste, if we can define a biohazard waste, they are all the needles, the scalpels, the razor blades and sharp object. They are all referred to as the sharps, and the body parts, the body tissue, body fluids, swab, cultures, they are all the anatomical waste, and all this come under the biohazard waste. The vast majority of the medicines, just now we discussed about the pharmaceutical waste and the medical waste, they can also be causing certain serious problems and diseases. So unless they are cytotoxic or cytostatic, but the medicines also, they can be categorized into the general pharmaceutical or the medical waste. Then there are other things also in addition to the medicines and all this hazardous waste. You have the gloves, you have aprons, you have gowns, then you have the mask, you have shield, then we have the plastic packaging like empty syringes, intravenous injections, bandages, gauzes, all this also come under the hazardous waste. So they all pose a high risk of contamination. Then there can also be the chemotherapeutic and the radioactive waste, which was also discussed in the past few slides. What are the major sources of these type of healthcare waste? They can be from the hospital and other health facilities, from the laboratories and research centers, mortuaries and autopsy centers, animal research and testing laboratories, blood banks and collection services, nursing homes for the elderly people. Generally it is reported in the journals and also in the publications that high income countries are generally generating an average of 0.5 kg of hazardous waste per hospital bed per day. That is, one bed alone is generating 0.5 kg of the hazardous waste. Whereas in the low income countries, the generation will be much lower, and they are estimating this to be around 0.2 kg per bed. But the healthcare waste is often not separated into hazardous and non-hazardous in the low income countries because of certain other technicalities and other reasons, and that is why it is making the quantification of the real quantity of these hazardous waste, they may be higher and it may not be reported accurately. The health risk from all these waste. So the healthcare waste contain potentially harmful microorganisms. They can infect the hospital patients, health workers and also the general public. Other potential hazards may include the drug resistant microbes, and they can spread from the health facilities into the environment. Adverse health outcomes with the healthcare waste. These can include the sharp inflicted injuries like toxic exposure to the pharmaceutical product, for example the antibiotics, cytotoxic drugs that are released in the environment. Then the substances like mercury or dioxins during the handling and incineration of the healthcare waste. So here the workers and the even the rag pickers also, they will also be exposed to these toxic exposures. Then chemical burns. Sometimes, very high toxic disinfectants are used in the sterilization or waste treatment activities. There again, the workers who are handling them, they can be exposed to the chemical burns as a result of this. Then air pollution. Because of the dumping and the burning of the medical waste even in open, then that can release the particulate matter during the incineration process. Then there can be thermal injuries occurring in conjunction with the open burning and also the operation of the medical waste incinerator. Finally, there can also be the radiation burn. So these are all some hazards that are occurring due to the improper treatment of the waste and the side effects of burning and incineration of these waste. Now let us talk about the sharps alone. So worldwide, if you see 16 billion, we discussed that these injections are being administered, and all the needles and the syringes are not disposed of safely. So that means there is another risk of the injury and infections, and it means that even these sharps are being reused, then an opportunity is given for the reuse of these instruments. So injections with a contaminated needle and syringes, mostly we find this in the low and the middle income countries. They have reduced substantially in the recent years, but there have been efforts to reduce the reuse of the injection devices also, but still we have seen that there have been a lot of cases, especially in 2010, we have seen that their unsafe injections were given to many people, and it was responsible for 33,800 new HIV infections, 1.7 million hepatitis B infections, and 3,15,000 hepatitis C infections. So that is why it is always emphasized that even when you go to give blood, for your own kith and kin, your relatives or your friend circle, and even in the blood donation camps, as you want to do the same, but see to it that either you carry your own needle, or the syringes for safety, or you ensure that they are injecting the new needle for collecting the blood, and also the blood bags also, they should also be sterile and should be contamination free. Otherwise, by injecting from one person to another, and if one person has some serious blood disorder or HIV or hepatitis infection, then blood to blood transfusion of such diseases and transmission can occur. So that will be fatal, and it can be pathetic. So a person who experiences one needle stick injury from a needle has a risk of 30%, 1.8 and 0.3 of becoming infected with a hepatitis B virus, hepatitis C virus, and also the human immunodeficiency virus. Even among the drug users, if you see that the patients who need drugs as a stimulant for their survival and who are chronic drug users, there again you would see that either they take it through inhalation or through their mouth, or they require certain needles, and they sit in groups, and how they inject that drug material, the same injection they all inject together. So they may be carriers, they may be even having like all these infectious diseases including AIDS. So easily from one person to another person, such infectious diseases can spread and be transmitted. Additional hazards can occur from scavenging at the waste disposal site and during handling and manual sorting of the hazardous waste from the healthcare facilities. Then again, the waste handlers are also at immediate risk of the needle stick injury, and they are exposed to the toxic and infectious materials. Now let us discuss about the environmental impacts. So disposal of the healthcare waste poses health risk indirectly through the release of pathogens and toxic pollutants, contaminants into the environment. The disposal of untreated healthcare waste in landfills can lead to contamination of drinking water, the surface and the groundwaters, if those landfills also are not properly constructed, and if they are being contaminated from these sources. Then the treatment of the healthcare waste with chemical disinfectants can result into the chemical substances being released into the environment if these are also not handled properly, stored properly, or disposed of also in an environmentally sound manner. Incineration of waste, this has been practiced widely. Let me tell you, this is the practice that is being used globally. But inadequate incineration or incineration of unsuitable material, because all the material we will see in the following part of our lecture, we will see that everything cannot be incinerated, because some of the things that are being used in the healthcare sector, that may require certain other ways of treating and for treating the same. We cannot incinerate all the substances. So these can result, so if something is not suitable, such unsuitable material, then that will result in the release of pollutants, and then generation of ash residues also. Incinerated material, for example, if they are containing or treated with chlorine, then they can generate dioxins and furans. So, they are carcinogenic, and there are 70 types of these chemicals which are noted, and they have been associated with a range of the adverse health effects. Again, incineration of heavy metals or the materials with high metal content, for example, lead, mercury and cadmium, they can lead to toxicity in the environment. We have already classified the medical waste, but let us see in the UK, in the United Kingdom, the medical waste is classified as hazardous and non-hazardous. In the United States and other parts of the world globally, there are 4 types of waste which we discussed, that is general, infectious, hazardous and the radioactive waste. Now, improper practices such as dumping of the biomedical waste in the municipal dustbin, in open space, in water body, this will lead to the spread of diseases. For example, even the diapers that are thrown from the elderly, those who are bedridden, even from the children, that can also pose risk, because first of all, the chemical material that is used in the diaper material, that may be plastic, that may be non-biodegradable, which can persist in the environment for so many years. So, even those things also can pose risk for the environmental health. Emissions from the incinerator and the open burning, all this can lead to the toxic and harmful gases that can cause respiratory diseases, lung problems and also cancer finally. Finally, defining biomedical waste, it means any solid or liquid waste including its container and any intermediate product which is generated during the diagnosis, treatment or immunization of human beings or animals or research activities pertaining thereto, or in the production or testing of biological or in health camps. Biomedical waste hazards, they pose 2 hazards due to the principal reasons, one being its infectivity, the nature of the infectivity, and the other being its toxicity and toxic reactions that it can cause. The World Health Organization defines the biomedical waste as the waste generated by the healthcare activities such as diagnosis, treatment or immunization of animals or human beings, or through research activities that include a wide range of materials from used syringes and needles to diagnostic samples, medical devices, pharmaceuticals, chemicals, blood, body parts, solid dressings and also radioactive materials. In the same way, animal research, testing laboratories, blood banks and collection services, hospital and health facilities, nursing homes for the elderly, mortuaries and autopsy centers, all will contribute to the healthcare waste. Now, this already we discussed regarding the high income and the low income countries, where the amount of the waste has been calculated, which is generated per bed per day. But the real quantity can be higher even in the low and the middle income countries. This is because they are not properly segregated into the hazardous and the non-hazardous waste, and this mix of both this hazardous and non-hazardous, that will result in the contamination of the entire waste, and it will lead to the development or infections and also resistant organisms. Harmful effects of the poorly managed biomedical waste. So far we have discussed about all the different types of waste and what are the kinds of the problems that they can pose to the environment as well as to the human being. Now, the harmful effect, when this biomedical waste is not properly disposed, then through the air emissions or contamination of water and also through physical contact, also through improper handling, unsafe procedures, like if you are not wearing the proper personal protective equipments, then if there is poor storage, something which requires higher temperatures to be stored or low temperature, high residence, then transporting them for the longer distances, for example, even the vaccines, the immunization kits, they may have to be transported to the longer distances, uncovered and unpacked containers instead of the puncture proof bags. All this can affect the hospital workers in the different ways. So, who are the groups who are exposed? One is inside the healthcare centers and outside the hospital. Inside the healthcare centers, you will see the doctors, the nurses, the ward boys, technicians, scientific and technical personnel, housekeeping staff, laundry, the waste managers, receptionists, all of them can be affected. Outside the hospital, you have the inside and offsite transport personnel, waste processing personnel, the general public and also the rag pickers can be affected. So, the infectious agents such as feces, vomit, saliva secretions, blood can cause serious health risk on the individual by affecting organs or the systems. They can cause gastrointestinal, respiratory, eye and skin disorders, meningitis which is affecting the meningitis region, the layers of the brain. Then it can cause AIDS, it can cause hemorrhagic fever, hepatitis A, B and C, and also influenza of various kinds. Research and radioimmunoassay activities may generate small quantities of radioactive gases also in such environments. Now this is a table which is showing the infections associated with different types of waste. So you have viruses, we have bacteria, we have parasites. Some examples. So in the bacteria, in the viruses, you have HIV, the hepatitis, the arboviruses, then you have the enteroviruses. And that can cause AIDS, dengue, Japanese encephalitis, meningitis, tick-borne fevers, and how they are transmitted through infected needles, the body fluids, human excreta, soiled linen, through the blood, so on. Bacteria. They can be Salmonella typhi, Vibrio cholerae, the Clostridium tetani, Pseudomonas streptococcus species. That can cause typhoid, cholera, tetanus, wound infections, septicemia, rheumatic fever, endocarditis, which is an infection and inflammation of the heart lining tissues, and soft tissue infections, meningitis and bacteremia. That can all be transmitted through human excreta, body fluids in landfills and the hospital wards, sharps such as needles, surgical blades in the hospital waste. Parasites such as Wuchereria bancrofti, Plasmodium causing malaria, so that can cause cutaneous leishmaniasis, Kala Azar, malaria and so on. Transmission through human excreta, blood and body fluids in the poorly managed sewage systems and so on. The risk of being infected by the hepatitis viruses and the AIDS for a person who experiences one needle stick injury can be 30% and lesser or higher and so on. Now in developing countries, not disposing these medical items correctly can lead to the syringes and the needles getting illegally recycled, repacked, and also they can be sold in the grey market. So this is a very serious issue. And finally, we are addressing the Sustainable Development Goals. So at all times, we should keep the Sustainable Development Goals as the center and in mind. The United Nations Environment Programme that is committed to working with all the concerned parties to support the achievement of the 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals. It promotes environmental sustainability as a crucial enabling factor in implementing the SDGs and ensuring the health of the planet. It builds the country's capacities to track their progress towards the goals and aim to ensure that the environment is integrated into all aspects of sustainable development. Now regarding health and healthy life and healthy well-being at all ages, that is included under the Sustainable Development Goal 3 or SDG 3. So it ensures healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages. And here a clean environment is essential for human health and well-being. On the other hand, the air and water pollution as well as poor management of hazardous chemicals and waste that can contribute to undermine the health. By 2030, that can substantially reduce the number of death and illnesses from the hazardous chemicals and air, water and the soil pollution and also contamination from the same. So dear learners, in this module, we have addressed the hazardous healthcare waste and how efficient measures need to be taken in order to address these waste and how they should be managed properly from the source. We have seen the types of the healthcare waste and the sources from where these waste can be generated. We have also seen the people who are working inside, that is inside and also outside the healthcare centers and the healthcare facilities who can be easily infected with these infectious agents. We have also seen how these can be minimized and how by even wearing the protective equipments, by not recycling the syringes and the needles, the sharp and other instruments, how they can be sterilized properly, and by using certain proper disinfectants, they can be reduced to a very great extent. Finally, the Sustainable Development Goals have to be kept in mind, and a clean environment, a healthy environment and proper and good health is very important for, is essential for human health as well as for well-being, and environment and health is intricately related to each other. So, these waste, the healthcare facility waste, should be disposed of in a scientific manner so that the environment is not contaminated, because otherwise they will be bioaccumulated in the environment and they will be biomagnified. The food chain will be affected, and finally man or the human being are affected with all these problems. I hope you have had a good understanding of this module. Thank you for your patient listening.